Good morning. This is an educational video for the students of Patanjali Rishikul. Chapter 4 Landscape of the Soul by Nathalie Trevor from the book Hornbill, Class 11th. About the writer. Nathalie Trevor, born February 2nd, 1975, wife of the Belgian ambassador to India, is an art historian. She has traveled various cities of the world with her husband. Recently, she and her friend Agnes Montanari translated William Dalrymple's masterpiece on Delhi, City of Jinns, in pictures. She now plans to write her next book on Old Delhi architecture like Jama Masjid and Chandni Chowk. About the chapter. This chapter, written by Nathalie Trevor, comprises two parts. The author has taken the first part from the landscape of the soul, ethics, and spirituality in Chinese painting, whereas the second part has been derived from Getting Inside Outsider Art. Getting Inside is an article by Brinda Suri published in the Hindustan Times in 2005. The main theme of the chapter is about arts. It revolves around the art of depicting stories in various forms of paintings. We'll learn about Chinese painters and their works as well as the story behind them. Similarly, the second part explores the concept of art brut, meaning the art of ones who have no right. Thus, we'll learn a great deal about art and its history. Watch this video to learn.
Here is a summary of Landscape of the Soul by Nathalie Trevor. Landscape of the Soul by Nathalie Trevor discusses the differences between Western and Chinese styles of painting. She uses two interesting stories to introduce these styles. First, she talks about the last painting done by Chinese master painter Wu Daozi. Wu Daozi lived in the 8th century. His last painting was commissioned by Emperor Huangzong of the Tang dynasty. Daozi painted a wonderful landscape on a palace wall. The painting was hidden behind a screen so that only the emperor could see it. The emperor admired the forests, the mountains, the waterfalls, and the clouds. One day Daozi told the emperor that a spirit resided in the painting. He pointed towards a cave in the painting. Daozi then proceeded into the cave to show the way. But the painting closed behind him. Daozi and the painting vanished before the emperor's very eyes. In the second anecdote, Trouveroy narrates the story of a master blacksmith called Quintin Metzis. Quintin fell in love with a painter's daughter, but the painter would not accept him on account of his profession. So Quintin snuck into the painter's studio and painted a fly on his latest panel. The painting was so real that the master believed it to be a real fly. Quintin became the master's disciple and married his beloved. Having narrated these stories, Trouveroy now details the painting traditions behind them. The Western tradition rests on creating a perfect imitation of the actual world. A Western figurative painting recreates the landscape as the artist sees it from a specific angle. The Chinese tradition does not rest on a single viewpoint. Rather, the viewer can enter the painting from any angle. This is because a Chinese painting is a path to a higher spiritual plane rather than what is shown on the campus. This notion is called conceptual space. The landscape of the painting mirrors the landscape of the soul. A Chinese painting requires an active participation from the viewer, especially when it is a horizontal scroll style of painting. When the viewer scrolls down the painting, he creates multiple viewing points. The painting is not fixed. Rather, it shows different landscapes as the reader moves from the beginning to the end. This is called shan shui. The two words, mountain and water, symbolize the two complementary poles of yin and yang. Yin and Yang are central to the Taoist view of the universe. The mountain is Yang, which reaches towards the heavens, and the water is Yin, which rests on the earth. The harmonious interaction between the two energies is one of the fundamental philosophies of Taoism. But Trouveroy emphasizes on a third element, which is overlooked in general discussions on Taoist philosophy. This third element is the middle void, where the interaction between yin and yang occurs. We find a parallel of this concept in the Indian yogic practice of pranayama. The void is reflected in the white, unpainted space of Chinese painting. In human terms, man becomes the void, the conduit between the universe and earth. He is the eye of the landscape, who can make sense of the landscape and become an essential presence inside of it if he so desires.
Thank you for watching. Read the chapter thoroughly for better understanding of the chapter.